got a system going on here. And first of all, I want to thank the Uintah County School District for providing the venue for us and all of you attending this evening. And a special thank you to you candidates for taking the time out and being here tonight with us. So a reminder to please silence your cell phones. I see everybody reaching for them. And then we're going to start tonight off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to have Lexi Lamb, the president of the chamber, start us. Thank you, Lexi. All right, I will now turn the mic over to our MC for tonight, AJ Lamb.
Thank you very much, Gary. And thank you for everyone being here tonight, showing your civic duty, and I appreciate you all for coming down. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, a friendly reminder for you all, due to these restraints, we're going to ask you guys to give a 1-minute opening statement, 2 minutes each for your questions, and a 1-minute closing statement. That way we can give the audience plenty of time for their Q&A. Once you guys give your opening statement, you may open your question number 1 and begin reviewing it and getting ready to answer it. So let us begin. We'll begin with our opening statements, and remember, candidates, you get 1 minute. And we'll start with you, Mr. Mark Anderson.
Thanks, AJ. Everybody hear me okay? Yeah. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, first and foremost. It's a great venue, and I appreciate your attendance. It's an honor that we have to vote, and one thing I think it's a responsibility of all of ours is to be educated in that vote. I'm Mark Anderson. I'm the incumbent of the race for County Commission. I'm currently in my 2nd term. My wife and I, Jocelyn, live here in Evanston. We have 6 kids, college age down to my youngest baby just turned 13 2 days ago. And I'm born and raised here in Evanston. Had a family business here as well. Still have the gun room and TGR Customs that has been very successful for the family. I currently work for Ready Services, so I see a lot of time between here and Rock Springs, quite a bit in Lyman as well for work. Excited to be here, excited for the questions, and thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Up next, we have Marty Woodward.
Thank you. I appreciate you all being out here tonight and taking time out of your night to come and participate in this with us. My name is Marty Woodward. I am a resident of Uintah County. I live outside the county, or the city limits of Evanston. I've lived here since 1997. I am married to Brian Woodward. We have 3 daughters, one of which, the last one, is in high school here in Evanston. I am excited to have this opportunity to run and to possibly earn your vote tonight. I'm excited to hear all the questions, to listen to the people, to understand what concerns you. I understand being in a public business, and I currently work for BOCES as the CFO and HR. So I know fiscal responsibility is a big concern for our citizens, and I look forward to when I get in to possibly getting that taken care of.
Thank you, Marty. Up next, we have Mr. Jerry Carroll.
Hi, I'm Jerry Carroll. I want to thank the Chamber for having us, for everybody who came out, for everybody who's listening. I was born and raised in Lyman, Wyoming. I spent my first 22 years there, and my dad was a trona worker. My grandfather was a rancher there. I moved to Evanston, and I just retired after 42 years of teaching school. My wife retired at the same time. She has 27 years of retired. I have 3 children. One of them has come back to UNT County, and she's a school teacher, and now I have 4 grandchildren who live here. My mother, my mother-in-law, they all live in Lyman. And as I got done, I always thought that school teaching gave me a purpose in life. And I want to still have a purpose. I want to make a difference. And that difference, I think, I know UNT County inside and out, and I want to make that difference for everybody in UNT County. And just pleased to have the opportunity, and I hope to get your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have John Conrad.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This reinforces what my predecessors have said. Thank you for being here. It's greatly important. It's admirable. I appreciate it. My name is John Conrad. I'm a resident of the East Side, generally known as Mountain View. With that said, I've served 21 years in the military, veteran of foreign wars. I've served publicly and privately throughout my entire life. This is about service. It's about service to you and your voice at the county commissioner level. I've served on a number of boards, which I believe brings experience, not only locally, but at the state level, including the Wyoming legislature. I served on the Wyoming Veterans Commission, served on the Wyoming Economic Development Association, as well as our local boards, including the UNT Economic Development Commission, as well as the, most recently, is I should say, library board. So my goal is to represent everyone and increase the equitability and distribution of our votes and be a voice to you as a people. As we move forward, I appreciate your opportunity to look forward to getting to know you more as questions go on. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I apologize, Alan, just one sec. I did forget to start this off with Mr. Carl Allred. Unfortunately, he was unable to be here tonight, but he did give us a written submission and would like us to read this off to him. So I will read this directly how it's written down through this quote. So, my name is Carl Allred, and I am running for UNT County Commissioner. First, I'd like to apologize for not being there in person. I've always believed that candidates should make every effort to show up, answer questions face to face, and be accountable for people they hope to serve. Unfortunately, I had a work trip scheduled before I knew the date of this forum, and I wasn't able to change those commitments. I appreciate your understanding and the opportunity to still introduce myself. I have proudly called UNT County home for more than 27 years. My wife has raised our family here, and this community has given us so much. I am running because I care deeply about the future of our county and want to help ensure it remains a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Throughout my career, I have gained experience in business, leadership, budgeting, and solving complex problems. I have also had the opportunity to serve as Wyoming Secretary of State for a period, which gave me a much better understanding of how to go about things in government, and has showed me what it takes to run a large-scale agency efficiently and effectively. During that time, I have helped oversee a general election on a very tight timeline, stepped up in only a few weeks before it was set to begin. The experience reinforced the importance of being organized, adaptable, and ready to serve the public that is depending on you. I understand the importance of being fiscally responsible, listening and the different perspectives, and making decisions based on what is best for the people of UNT County. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this forum and consider me for your vote. It would be an honor to serve you as your next UNT County Commissioner. That was Carl Allred. My apologies. Up next, we have Mr. Alan Kopp.
All right, good evening. My name's Alan Kopp. I'm running for County Coroner, which is kind of the odd office up here. I've been in the death care industry for about 23 years. I managed a very large mortuary coroner contract in Las Vegas for several years, taking care of the custody, possession, transportation of 2,000 to 4,000 people, depending on circumstances per year while in Las Vegas. I am a previous deputy coroner in UNT County. My wife and I met here in Evanston. We have 3 children. My wife is Kara. She's a teacher at North Elementary, but we are happy to be back in Evanston. I look forward to earning your vote.
Thank you, Alan. Up next, we have Rowdy Dean.
Hello, thank you for everyone for coming out. I'm Rowdy Dean, sixth generation Uinta County resident, married to my wife Christina, who's been an awesome support throughout this whole run this time and the last time. We have two children. One is a senior in high school at Evanston High School. I'm the only candidate for sheriff that owns property in Uinta County. I own property in Evanston, just outside of Evanston and just outside of Mountain View. I care deeply about this community. I served as undersheriff for 8 years. I have the experience to run this department. I know the county. I know what it takes to run a successful office with fiscal responsibilities being one of my foremost agendas. I want to run that office as efficient as possible, put the patrolmen back on the street, and serve the community and the county as well as I can.
Thank you, Rowdy. Up next, we have Andy Copp.
Good evening. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting the event tonight. I'm Andy Kopp. I'm the current Uinta County Sheriff. I've served Uinta County as a deputy, patrol sergeant, investigator, dare officer, court security, just about every aspect, minus dispatcher in the sheriff's office. I want to hit on this really quick that we can sit up here tonight and tell you what you may want to hear. But there's lots of deputies out there tonight. I encourage you all to talk to them. Talk to them about the leadership change, how positive it's been. The deputies are in the county more than ever. We are physically and financially able to successfully run our office, and we'll get into that more later. I look forward to earning your vote in August. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Up next, we have Tina Johnson.
Hi. Thank you all for coming. It's a great turnout. I'm Tina Johnson. I've worked in the county in customer service at 17 years at Travel Centers of America and 15 years at KFC Taco Bell. While that doesn't sound like great experience, my experience goes into bookkeeping, accounting, management, and people. I love the people of Uinta County. My history is with Uinta County, born and raised. Born in Rock Springs, raised in the valley. I look forward to, I also am a investigative journalist type person, so I've done a lot of research on a lot of the things that are going on in the county, and it's important to me that the people get to hear what is going on. I think we're at a crossroads, a fork in the road, if you will, of two different futures, and it's important to me that everyone understands what's going on. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Up next, we have Jen Hageman.
Gotta unfurl these long legs of mine. Hi, my name is Jen Hageman. I've been serving you as City Council Ward 1. I come from a 7-generation military family. I chose Evanston as my home. My son is currently serving in the 101st Airborne, and I could not be more proud. Coming from a long line of people that hold up the Constitution of this nation wherever we set foot, I want to read you the words I live by. Article 1, Declaration of Rights from the Wyoming Constitution. Power inherent in the people. All power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness. For the advancement of these ends, they have at all times an inalienable and indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper.
Thank you, Jen. Up next, we have Chris Capsule.
Chris Katzel.
Yes.
And I moved into Evanston with my infant son about 30 years ago. But my ancestors helped settle Otto, Wyoming. So we have been in and out of Wyoming most of my life. I was raised in Utah, not very far from here, and we came up to visit family and go to the ranch and have fun there and visit our grandparents and great-grandparents in Otto, and the others who lived in Burlington and Worland. My son and I have lived here for 30 years, and I am a special ed teacher. I have been a special ed teacher throughout Wyoming, and I have seen many of the things that Wyoming needs and Wyoming people want. And as a sped teacher, I am also familiar with law. So thank you, and I'm going to turn it over.
Thank you, Ms. Katzel.
Hi,
Up next, we have Ms. Wendy Schuler. Sorry.
Thank you. I jumped the gun on you, sorry. Hi, I'm Wendy Schuler. I'm the current senator from Senate District 15. This is my second term. As many of you know, I really wasn't going to run again, but many of you out here in this audience kind of twisted my arm. And so I'll head back. We'll see how that goes. But I'm a fifth generation ranch girl from here. I was actually born up in the building that's now the senior citizen. It used to be a hospital. And then raised out in Bridger Valley in Mount View. I also taught school in Lyman for many years. I also taught school here, coached here. So I think I might be the only one on this panel that's actually lived in all the places in Union County except for Bridger, and I'm not sure they would have me. But I love it here. I love Wyoming. I want to try and do the best that I can to make Wyoming better. I have four grown children. One of my son who's in the military, former military, and that's, audience today. I love that he's here. Just happens to be, we had a family reunion this week. So it was kind of nice to have some of them here visiting. But I'm here to say that I will do whatever it takes to continue to reach out to you and make sure that I'm transparent and able to get out and visit with you anytime, anywhere. So thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Up next, we have Mr. Ken Roberts.
What an honor, folks. Thank you. I'm Kenneth D. Roberts. I'm from Kimmer with 2 ERs. And we're the last 32 years, I've been the clerk of the district court for the 3rd Judicial in the county of Lincoln. Needless to say, I know good law and I know bad law. In the time then, also, I've served as on the Wyoming Board of Parole as the chairman, and so I can honestly say that I understand criminal behavior and I understand criminals as well as anybody. And currently now that I'm on the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission as your district commissioner in this region right here. And so needless to say, I understand wildlife, I understand conservation, and I understand what we need to do at this state to maintain our heritage. I'm running to make this state better. I'm running to make what I believe a change of direction, and I would appreciate your vote. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Up next, we have Scott Heiner.
Thank you. My name is Scott Heiner. I've served in the legislature for 6 years now. I'm a professional engineer, retired manager of oil and gas. Actually managed Anadarko, which had several assets just south of town here. But I'm the chairman of the Minerals, Banking, and Economics Development Committee in the House. My legislator peers have elected me to be the majority floor leader 2 years ago. Those of you who are not familiar with the structure of the chamber, that's the number two position in the House. I also serve on the University of Wyoming School of Energy Resources Board of Directors, which does a lot of the research, and I also serve as an executive director of the Energy Council, which is a coalition of 14 energy producing states and 2 Canadian provinces that deal with everything energy. So I recognize Evanston was built on energy, and I have been working to bring that back.
Thank you, Scott.
Hello, my name's Chad Stevens, and I would like to welcome everybody out tonight and let you know how much I appreciate you guys being here. I see Wyoming is a state that has so much potential. I grew up in a small town about 40 miles from here called Hannaford, Utah. An amazing community. Growing up up there, spent a lot of time fishing the Weber River, hauling hay from my grandpa's, and I loved it. Worked my way up through the ranks to become an Eagle Scout, and I kind of found my niche in that scouting, and I think it's super important. After I worked for Flair Construction for a while, worked for Summit Coal Company there in Chalk Creek, and had an opportunity to join the United States Navy. Spent 4 years in the United States Navy working on an aircraft carrier. After I got out of the Navy, I moved to Wyoming, started some businesses, had an opportunity to get on for Church of Dwight, and the final thing I want to say is I love Wyoming. I see a bright future for Wyoming, and I would love to be your representative to make things happen in the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Up next, we have Mr. Joe Webb.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. I hope you can hear me because I have a hard time hearing because the speakers are up front. But I'm Joe Webb. I'm from out in the Bridger Valley. I have lived out there for 40 years with my wife Sharon. We have, excuse me, we have 5 kids. We have 14 grandkids. Most of them live here in Wyoming and attend schools here or will attend schools here. And so I have worked for the State Patrol. I have worked for a municipality police department, and I've worked for 2 different school districts. So I've had plenty of opportunity to see how things work within our governmental structure, and I'm grateful for that opportunity that I had. I want things to continue to grow in Wyoming. We've got to do some things to keep our natural resources moving forward. Those are the things God has blessed us with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. Up next, we have Mr. David Walton.
Hi, I'm Dave Walton. Grew up in Kemmer, graduated from the University of Wyoming. Was fortunate enough to meet my beautiful wife at the university. We've been married 33 years now. Got 3 grown children. Happy to report they're all successful adults at this point. After graduating to UW, spent 18 years working at one of the largest gold mines in North America. Came back to Wyoming for the 12 years and worked for one of the largest gas plants in the state of Wyoming. After 12 years of that, I semi-retired. I came to work with the school district. I left my job and I became a janitor. That should show you that I'm ready to do the hard work. Working for the industry, I'm really familiar with the economics of scale, and I think I have the ability to make things happen for Wyoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Last but not least, Mr. Robert Wolf.
Thank you. I too would like to thank the Chamber for putting this on, and for those of you that took the time out of your schedules to be here. I'm currently your representative in House District 49, which is the town of Evanston. I serve on the Revenue Committee, the Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, Cultural Resources Committee, and I'm the co-chairman of the Federal Natural Resource Management Select Committee. And I can tell you I'm excited, like to get back to doing the work of the state. We've made some pretty strong suggestions for our congressional delegation to look at changing the way our federal government interacts with our state. As you know, the Revenue Committee's been working really hard to eliminate our property tax, personal property taxes. And that's my continued goal, is to do that till we can achieve it. And I do think we've got a path to do that without harming our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. All right, we are going to begin with our first question, and we're going to start with our county commissioners and continue going down the line. So we're going to start with you, Mr. Mark Anderson. Our first county commissioner question: with recent cuts to local government funding from the state legislature, UNT County may face tighter budgets. How will you prioritize spending to ensure essential services are maintained without draining county reserves?
What a great question. Before I start, I don't know who I need to talk to, but I got this front row seat here in the first of the line, and I feel it's a disadvantage. And then I got realizing that Mr. Carroll's got home court advantage because he taught school here for a long time, and I think that's unfair. But no, in all kidding, I'll get to the question here. We have had some budget cuts, right? The 25% property tax reduction, it did affect our budgets. A good leader, I feel, is not one that micromanages. I feel the best of leaders, whether it's in politics, whether it's in your home, whether it's at work, is to take care of those below you, the ones that work with you, and get out of their way. If you do that, and we did see this in the county, when that 25% property tax reduction hit our county coffers, we felt it, we saw it, and I didn't micromanage and push and point, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. We sat in a room of fellow electeds and department managers, and we had hard conversations. We entrusted them on what they could do in their departments and their elected offices, and they did it. And so I could come up here and I could say that it was me, and it was not. I believe that if we take care as a commission, we take care of those that are under us, they will do what is best for the residents and for the people that work for them. And we saw that. We saw tightening of operation budgets that like I've never seen. And it was neat. And I know that will continue. Priorities, law enforcement, we've put a lot of money in law enforcement and we've had good retention. That is my priority. There's a few other things, I'll get to them at the end.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Would you like me to reiterate the question, or are you okay? Thank you. Up next, we have Marty Woodward.
The 25% tax cut that we've already had, I currently work for BOCES, number one here in Evanston. We were directly affected by that cut, and it was immediately. As soon as that decision was passed by the state legislator, we went back to our budget, we amended where we needed to, we made hard decisions. We had to cut a full-time position, which was not something we wanted to do, but we had to do it. We needed to stay within the confines of our budget. We also needed to continue to put money into our reserves. To do that, we got our entire staff together. We asked them ideas of how we could cut expenses. We included everyone. We made sure that they understood what was coming in and what our absolutely necessary expenses were. And then we looked at every line item and decided what we could do. Some of us took on some extra duties. Myself, I started shoveling snow in the morning or during the day, whenever it snowed. I would work the front desk if I needed to. We had to step up to the plate. We need to be good stewards of our taxpayer dollars. We need to make sure that we are not spending that money frivolously. We need to make sure that we are accountable for those funds, and that if we are asked to present those to anybody in our community, that I be responsible for the books, make sure that I can show you exactly why we spent it and where. And I understand finances. I've been doing that for a long time, and I made sure that in my current job we ended in the black, both 25 and 26 fiscal years. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Mr. Carroll, would you like me to reiterate the question?
Yeah, go ahead and read the question again.
With recent cuts to local government funding from the state legislature, UNT County may face tighter budgets. How will you prioritize spending to ensure essential services are maintained without draining county reserves?
All right, thank you. And as I said, it's a tough question, but a great question, one that we're all in our homes because of fiscal responsibility and our budgets at home. We all know that money gets tight and we have to make good decisions. One of the things that my constituent said previously was she went to the departments and let everybody have a say and got everybody's opinion in how those things and decisions can be made. And I don't think it's one county commissioner or 3 county commissioners who make that decision. Hopefully they're talking to the people that they serve. But as I sat here and thought about the priorities, my number 1 priority would have been supporting public safety, where you must have proper law enforcement to keep our people safe, ambulance, fire, road and bridges have to be maintained. Those are the essential services, and each of these departments have to be supported. Also, the essential services must be defined. Needs versus wants. What are the essential services? As an educator, I spent decades making the most out of tight budgets, not just at the school, but in my home. We, and I mean the citizens of UN County, must be fiscally responsible. And that is government, the United States government, the UN County government, the city government, we don't have money. Taxpayers, that's your dollars. And it is my responsibility to make sure that I'm fiscally responsible. But as I go through this, I hope that we can encourage economic development responsibly so that we don't always have to face tighter budgets. I will strive, do my very best to make decisions that will benefit our county, not just for everybody in this room, but for future generations. I want my grandkids to have a UN County that I have, and I'm going to do my darndest, hardest work, best opportunities to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I want to thank our county employees. What a strong group of admirable men and women that continue to do the job with a lot of fanfare. So thank you if you're present. I'll share with you my priorities in terms of this question. First and foremost, we must adequately fund law enforcement, our fire protection, our emergency services. And one of those things that's included in there is our preparedness as well as mosquito spraying. Number 2, we need to invest in our core infrastructure. That includes our roads and bridges, water and sewer, etc. Thirdly, support economic development that expands our tax base without creating unnecessary burdens or financial risk to us as citizens. Investments in the workforce development as well as businesses, attract housing, sustainable growth that encourages long-term sustainable growth. And I share with you what gets measured gets results. And my commitment to you is to share with you those spendings, and we measure that so that you as a public can see what we're spending our money on, what money is coming into the county, where it's going, so you have an active accountability where it's going. As an FYI, it costs right now, the budget projected is $21 million to run this county. Our projected property tax revenue this year will be about $4.5 million. Think about that. If property tax, if the initiative goes through in November, that cuts that 50%. From my math, that's about $2.25 million in loss to this county. So consider that when you look at our essential services, our infrastructure, roads and bridges, as well as economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. As a friendly reminder, County Commissioners, you're more welcome to open up your second question. Mr. Allen Kopp, for your first question, what unique qualifications, training, or experience have prepared you to serve as county coroner? And why should voters entrust you with this important responsibility?
So, as I mentioned in my opening introduction, I've been in the death care industry for 23 years. Along with that goes yearly continuing education courses. With that being said, a lot of those are focused on funeral ceremonies and whatnot. But one of the things that I've got some unique training with is trauma intervention that I participated with in the Las Vegas area. I think that for too long, the coroner's office here has run the same way. And I'm not sure what way that is, but I know that we have to we have to modernize the coroner's office here. We've got to implement chain of custody for the decedents that we're bringing into our care. We've got to implement services for the individuals that are left underserved when we pick up a loved one that's just been killed in a traumatic situation, or that, you know, when mom leaves for the grocery store and comes back and finds her loved one deceased in the living room. We're just, right now, just picking those people up and leaving their loved ones to fend for themselves, and we've got to offer resources for the community to help in traumatic situations. And I've got experience in implementing those resources. Probably my biggest accomplishment in working with any coroner's office was managing the shooting situation in Las Vegas, where we brought 58 victims into our care between multiple hospitals and in an on-site festival ground, and doing that while maintaining the integrity of the chain of custody of the individuals, the investigation that was actively going on.
Thank you, Alan. Mr. Rowdy D, if faced with budget constraints, how would you determine which services to prioritize?
Thank you. Well, it sounds like the county commissioners that are running all support law enforcement, so that's a great thing to hear and very refreshing. They are the people that hold the purse strings as far as county budget goes, and they work well with the elected officials to make sure that we have what we need to have to run our departments. When I was under sheriff for 8 years, I managed the budget, and the budget then was $4.3 million for the sheriff's department and the jail combined. So I understand what it's like to not have money as far as when it comes to equipment, services. We never cut services as far as that were detrimental to the community, and I won't do that. You can trust what I say. I will not. If I say I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. There's things that we can do within the department structurally and with equipment purchases that will alleviate having to cut services. If it gets to a point where services do need to be cut, which I don't think will happen, I would meet with our community partners, other departments, and see what we could do as far as responsibility sharing, so nobody goes without those services. We have for years worked well with the other departments and agencies within the county. That's going to continue, I hope, under me. That's where I'm at on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Up next, Andy Kopp, would you like me to reiterate the question?
No, you're fine, thank you. So, yes, we've dealt with budget cuts. When we took office day one, we walked into nothing. Computers wiped, budgets from 1979, having to track down current budgets. We had a horse trailer that was purchased, sitting out back for almost $13,000, while deputies needed ballistic vests, other equipment, new tasers, all that stuff. What did we do? We approached the commissioners. We shot an idea out there. We're going to sell this. We don't own any horses. The sheriff's office doesn't need a horse trailer. We sold that, outfitted an entire jail with protective vests. Next step we did was we improved all our contracts. Contracts that we were losing money on. Cost about $140 a day to house an individual. They were sitting at $66. That's a loss to the county. We went there and improved those contracts. Last year, we cut our budget down to $495,000 operations cost in patrol and $503,000 in the jail. That's a huge cut. How did we make up for it? We went out, improved the contract, and brought them $1.1 million last year. We took $350,000 of that to cover raises that we did for the deputies. Candidate Dean makes $10,000 more than me. I have deputies that make more than me, and I'm good with that because it needed to happen. I never once have gone to the commissioners and said, solve this issue for me. I work with them. I say, I have an idea. What do you guys think? We hash it out, we go. So we work well with the budget. We prioritize everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andy Cobb. The first question for the representatives running for senator. What does good governance mean to you? Please be specific with an example of the exercise of good governance. Mrs. Tina Johnson.
Thank you. So to me, the good governance would be looking at the overall picture of all of the people that you represent. An example would be 2008, 2009, we had a great housing crash. UNA County lost a lot of businesses. We had Sonics, we had Starbucks, we had a lot more back then, and we were losing them quickly. And as a restaurant, we had to determine what can we do to save the business. Less funding coming in, less disposable income. Of course, we had to streamline, make sure that as far as employees go, just the overall making it still work. We never lost money, but we had to really tighten up the budgets. And I think that as senator, the budget is important, but the taxpayer, we focused on customer service first, and as a senator, I would always focus on the voters first. If it doesn't benefit the people, I would never do it. I would always put them and their interest first. I believe in the property tax initiative. I believe that there is money that is available. We can make it work. Brett BN has a great plan for that. I think we have lots of information on it, on ways to make it work, and I hope that everybody will be open to listening to all of the different versions of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Up next, we have Jen Hegman. Would you like me to repeat the question? What does good governance mean to you? Please be specific with an example of the exercise of good governance.
To uphold what I read you in the beginning in my opening statement. To have all of you involved, to return and value the people. And by setting up 4 times a year, we're getting together, town hall, Zoom, whatever it takes. As an elected official, whether it be a city hall or in Cheyenne, it's not what I think. It's what you all think. And I have to hear from you. It's a collective voice that you give me to go to battle in Cheyenne for what's best for you in town. It's so important to return to those values that the Constitution gave us, that gave each one of us. Your voice does not matter just on election day. It matters every single solitary day. You are the governors of this county, of this state, and of this nation. And until we switch the dynamic from top down to back where it's written to be, and how it actually functions, and all the levers of government are with you. I'm just your voice. That's governance. Taking your marching orders, what you tell me to do, what the majority wants, and then go fight for it.
Thank you, Ms. Hegman. And next, Ms. Chris Capsule. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Certainly.
What does good governance mean to you? Please be specific with an example of the exercise of good governance.
As I thought about this, my mind went back to a very high-paid professional consultant that came to Stevens Vinegar College when I was going to a business school there. And one thing that he said to us has stuck in my mind for that long a period of time. And what he said is the best evidence of good management is no evidence at all. And we were all a little stymied by that until he explained it to us. One example I had of that was when I worked at GMS, and the principal there was awesome. She made it exciting, and we loved being there because it was about us, not her. And we enjoyed being there, the students enjoyed being there, and everyone, the education was great. Now, another example of that is something that Lisa Beetle and I have been doing in this community for 12 years. We have volunteered our time and our effort, and it takes a long time, you may not think so, but it does, in running Facebook groups. As a journalist in the past, when Facebook first came out, I recognized the potential it had. And so we set up, because some of our friends and their children had missed an activity in this community because they were not informed ahead of time that it was happening. So we set up this Facebook group, and we started putting just activities on there and inviting the parents that we knew that had kids that wanted to go to those activities. And we've been doing that ever since, and it bloomed into what we have now. And we have enjoyed using it as a way to help our community. And one example of that was last November with the election for the tax.
Thank you, Ms. Katzel. Up next is Wendy Schuler. Would you like me to repeat it?
Heck no, I think I've got it down.
Perfect.
That's the beauty of being at the end of the table. Good governance, if you think about governance, it means being responsive to people, responding to what they want, what they need. And I think I only made one promise when I first ran, and I said, listen, I'm your voice. Tell me what you need, what you want. I'm responsive to you. I vote sometimes not exactly like I like to vote necessarily. I'll give you one example. First year I went in, we had a vote on getting rid of gun-free zones. I had less than 50 emails, and most of them were positive. And so I did some research on it. I always talk to other people, research, visit with other people, so I voted that we should get rid of it. A couple years ago, it came back, and after that, we had put in much more security in our school systems. We had SROs in most of them, and we'd also given our teachers the ability to be armed. And so I had over 300 emails from a variety of people in the county. That's a lot for just one bill, saying we don't want those. We don't want the gun-free zones. We're good with letting our teachers be armed and having the security that we have. And it was hard for me because I'm very pro-Second Amendment, but I had less than 50 that said we want those. We want to have the gun-free zones. If you look at most of the school shootings, they happen in less than 10 minutes. And so most of the time it's going to happen inside the school. And so even though I was a little uncomfortable, this is what the people wanted, and I keep track of all those. I tell anybody that wants to, if you want to come see my oodles of paraphernalia that I have in my office, of all the texts and phone calls that I get on every bill, I keep them. I keep track of them because you're the people that are speaking to me. I'm your voice. And so I voted against it. It passed anyway. Do I think it'll make a lot of difference one way or the other? No. But that's just an example of what good governance is. Listen to the people, be responsive to them, be transparent, be accountable, and you may have to just agree to disagree sometimes. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schuler. Now for our representative question. We'll start with Ken Roberts. Are there state programs you believe should receive more funding, less funding, or be restructured?
Thanks for the question. I think I've had the opportunity to go every nook and cranny in the state of Wyoming. And I've really been observing, everybody keeps saying, oh, huge government, oh, big government, cut big government, big government. Folks, I can't find it. I see a lonely trooper out in the middle of nowhere. I see a snowplow driver out in the middle of nowhere by himself. I go into the Cheyenne offices to go all the way through. I see people working. I see them diligently doing their job. I see families. So I don't think, as far as cutting any government, and I'm sure I'll get popped for it, but I don't care, because we don't have that problem in Wyoming. As far as what we need to spend more money on, mental health in Wyoming. Folks, we got to get a handle on this. We need to get into the school systems. We need to get to these little kids they're going through, because when they start little kids and if they're trouble there, they're going to be trouble when they're on the way out. And we need to make sure that the mental health professionals, and we need to make sure that the human services that we have in Wyoming are top notch, because we can save a lot of money on the back side of it if we get it in the front. So if we can take a mindset of not what we're going to tear apart in our state, and we're going to take more of a mindset, let's get more involved in, let's get more things with, then that's where I would like to see. So let's, I'm not proposing big government, but I'm saying, Wyoming, we don't have big government. If you do find it, let me know, because I couldn't find it all over the state, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Scott Heiner, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. We are blessed to live in a state that is rich in natural resources. We're the envy of the other states. We actually export, as a state of Wyoming, more energy than some of the small countries in the Mideast. We are so fortunate with our natural resources. But unfortunately, over the past decade, we've lost 46% of our jobs in the minerals and energy sectors. 46%, that's over 10,000 jobs we've lost. So we've put together an energy dominance fund this past session. We're putting $105 million of the severance taxes we get from oil and gas into this fund to further develop our natural resources. With that, we are planning to build, I'm working to bring a new coal-fired power plant to Wyoming. Not the conventional power plant that you're used to seeing, because 60 years of science and technology have advanced tremendously. This is going to be 1/3 the size and 40% more efficient. Now, visiting with the Department of Energy in Washington, we were planning on about a 12-megawatt plant. They told us this week that's too small. They want to see 100 megawatt. So that's about the size to supply power for 60 to 100,000 homes. I'm working to bring back energy dominance in Wyoming. And if we're going to develop our economy, let's build upon our strengths. And our strengths are the natural resources God has given us. It has powered this state for generations, and we have the resources to power the state of Wyoming for another 150 years.
Thank you, Mr. Heiner. Chad Stevens, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I'm good. So I look at things a little bit differently. Every single one of these guys up here that I've listened to tonight have talked about budget crises, how they're managing their money, and they're doing an awesome job. Every single one of them are towing the line. I want to look at things a little bit differently. I think we need to start really pushing on our economy and building. We got the best state in the union. We got amazing things here. We got so many natural resources, you know, across the board. There's so many things we could do. I want to be in a position where I can pass legislation that says, hey, let's promote Wyoming. Let's bring jobs here. Let's bring the economy up. Let's do important things. These guys, the question is, what places in our government need money? They all need money. Every one of them's on a tightrope. Every one of them is trying to manage it. What we need to do is we need to be thinking outside of the box and thinking, what can we do to bring jobs to Wyoming? What can we do to bring small businesses to Wyoming? What can we put on the table that makes these guys' jobs that much easier? If we continue to go on the direction we're going, every year their budgets are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. That's not the direction we want to go. I've got 4 kids, I've got 6 grandkids. I'm super proud of them. But I want them to live in a Wyoming that's prosperous, has a bright future, has a million things going on. I don't want my kids to have to move out of the state because they can't find a decent paying job here. That's not proactive. That's not doing the right things we need to do. We owe it to the next generation to be sitting down, each and every one of us, promote Wyoming, bring jobs here. 100 miles to Salt Lake, and they've got all kinds of stuff going on down there. Why can't we get some of that here? My district, we don't have, as they were saying, we don't have the oil and gas that we used to have. We don't have the coal, the mining industries that we have. We've got to do something to promote my district 19. We've got to do something to promote not just my district, but all of Wyoming.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, thank you.
On that, Mr. Joe Webb, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine, thank you. You want economic development? Coal, oil, natural gas, trona, and other minerals that we've been blessed with, as I mentioned earlier and as Representative Heiner mentioned. We need to be fighting for less regulation that has hamstrung these industries. We can bring as many companies into this state as we want, but if they are hamstrung with regulation, it isn't going to do any good. Something that I would like to see restructured, I would like to see consensus grants in each of our counties, so that three, or let's say the majority of the entities within our counties can decide what we want to do for infrastructure and have that money come from the state, rather than depend on some state government to, or some government department to give it to us. When we do those kind of things, we're going to revitalize the economy of the state of Wyoming. The last thing that I would say is that when we do those things, property tax relief. Uinta County, 2017 through 2023, property taxes went up 67%. This year, when I got my tax bill, for 2 vacant lots, it went up 59%. We are not peasants. You can't tax us just because you want to. Ad valorem taxes are things that the county sets. We are the ones that should be setting that and not them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Joel. David Walker, would you like me to repeat the question? Are there state programs you believe should receive more funding, less funding, or be restructured?
Everybody's been answering with the economics of the whole deal. I want to say that Wyoming's already a fiscally conservative state. We had a $250 million excess at the end of the legislation, and that shows the good work of the people that are passing this legislation. So the question's asking, what do we need to put more funding into? I've been around the district knocking on doors, and I've had several people say, you know, we put $250 million into the bank, but we didn't approve the Sunbucks. Evanston School District has the highest free and reduced lunch program in the state. The question that I'm getting asked is, why can't we feed these kids? We're not. California, it's $1.7 million. They get a matching fund from the federal government. Why can't we do that and save $246 million? So we need to take care of the people that are in my district first. Another thing that needs more funding, obviously, is fire and EMS. If these guys are having to go and ask for a 1% tax, they're severely underfunded in what they're doing. They don't waste money. They're out there taking care of everybody. In any kind of weather, when the highways are closed, we need to give those agencies more money. As far as restructuring, I think education right now. You look, we've been in litigation for over a decade because the funding. The silos was really good, it got teachers money, but we underfunded the other silos. So we need good legislation if we're going to restructure these entities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Mr. Robert Wolf, would you like me to read the question?
Okay, thank you. When I saw this question, I guess the thing that I thought about was some of the things that I've learned as I served on the Revenue Committee, and that is, you know, there's several different businesses that get tax breaks, while there's other businesses that pay the taxes. It's been pointed out that our big bread and butter generators are around energy. And we talk about all the money that we have to invest. That's excess money that has been put into the coffers primarily from our mineral industries. So, you know, I think one of the things we need to look at is how do we get the regulations either reduced or eliminated? How do we restore fairness in how we tax one business or exempt another business? I mentioned before, some of the people I've spoken with, you know, our number one industry is energy. And currently we tax 35% of the energy that's utilized in our state. 65% of that energy is exported outside of the state, and we don't collect a penny. Does that make sense to any of you in this room? Because it certainly doesn't make sense to us that we've been letting that volume of dollars go outside the state and not capturing that. So, you know, those are just a couple, but I really think it does come back. I was very proud of my county. I told everybody I knew we were conservative. They were forced to take a cut. I had the privileged opportunity to sit in with the commission, work through those departments. I was very proud of them. And our sheriff's department was a large part of us making that budget, and I appreciate them. My hat's off to them. But a lot of this comes down to government should only do what government should do, and we should not demand government do things it shouldn't do.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. All right, for our second question, once again, we're going to start with Mr. Mark Anderson, County Commissioner. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Uintah County over the next 4 years? And what specific action would you take to address it?
Crystal ball question, which I left at home, unfortunately. I had to read this 3 times because I really was expecting, with the second question, for there to be a data center in here, and it was not in there, but I'm going to address that. The easiest thing that I could say is the budget, because when we have money, this job is very easy. It's very easy to make decisions when you got a lot of money. I'll touch on that real quick. If we do see the 50% tax reduction go into effect, is what I would do first thing is do a town hall and have a discussion with everybody in the community about the role of government and what you all think the role of government should be. That's how we tackle that. The second thing, and I think it's the biggest thing, and it goes into the data center, is in the next 4 years, I think we are going to see some growth, obviously, with influx of construction workers coming in between the nurturing facility and the data center. We've got to make sure that that growth is sustainable so we can still have what we love here in our open air, free land of Uintah County. So sustained growth is something that we need to make sure, and as businesses come in, we need to make sure they pay their fair share in their way. It shouldn't be on the backs of residents. The last thing that I think that in the next 4 years, if my crystal ball is correct, it would not surprise me if the Board of County Commissioners comes to a point where we have to decide that we have enough gaming seats in our county. That is one role that the county, through the Gaming Commission, is deemed, is as this gaming grows, and in Evanston, obviously being right on the border, we're seeing that. We're seeing that growth, and that's, I think, something that we need to sit down with maybe another town hall as well to discuss what gaming is enough for our county. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Ms. Woodward, would you like me to repeat the question?
I also thought I was going to open up a data center question. And that is a tough one. The next 4 years, we know we have a data center coming in. We know we're going to see growth in our community as far as probably new people moving in to work there. But one of the things I think we're facing in Uinta County is communication. We hear it all over social media. People feel like they're not being heard. They feel like things are happening without their knowledge. We need to address that and make sure people feel like they have a voice, that they're being heard, that they're getting the feedback of what is happening at the county level. We also have issues with infrastructure. One of the things I'm concerned about is the penny tax. I want to understand why we are being reactive instead of proactive in our government. Why have we not been saving for this? We knew that this equipment was going to get used and need to be replaced. I want to know why we haven't planned for that. Economic development is going to be a huge thing for our county and our communities. We need to make sure we're good stewards of what's happening in our county. We need to make sure that people feel heard and understood. We need to make sure that with this economic growth, we're going to be bringing in probably other supporting businesses, which is good. Government doesn't make money. Government spends money, and we need businesses to fund that.
Thank you, Mrs. Woodward. Mr. Carroll, would you like me to repeat the question?
Please.
What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Uinta County over the next 4 years? And what specific action would you take to address it?
Well, the first one, I think, is right now loss of revenue to our county, but we already discussed that in the first question. I think the next one is not have enough high-paying jobs to keep our children in Uinta County. And as I've been walking around, knocking on doors and talking to people, the number one concern in our county, and the people that I've talked to, is the data center, which was brought up. We are going to have a mini boom. So I wrote down, it says, how would you address that? First of all, for the data center and the man camp, I would have mandatory annual enforcement audits to make sure that their permits are in compliance and they're doing the things that they had promised that they would do. Number two, I would have tax revenue and point of receipt tracking, which we already do, but we got to make sure that our sales tax is routing to where it's supposed to be going. Number three, I would go over the final lease terms and safety integration agreements with them. We have to have security. You're bringing 3,000 people in without their families to work in construction zones. We have to have fire, medicine. Are they going to help pay for new fire trucks as they come in? Are they going to help pay for the ambulances? Because they're going to have to come up with something, because that's going to be a major strain on our community and our county. Number four, I would have environment and resource oversight, because we have to monitor their water usage, their power usage, and everything else that they do, and we have to monitor their infrastructure management. And last but not least, who's getting the jobs besides the 3,000 people coming in, the data center, those high-paying jobs? We need to train a workforce here in Evanston so that our kids can be trained to take over those jobs, and citizens of Uinta County can take those jobs and be in the construction phase and in the final phase of the data center. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Mr. John Conklin, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I've got it. Thank you. the county faces many, many challenges. I'm gonna rank them in three in terms of priorities. First and foremost, transparency. Inability, or said differently, we have got to ensure that the communication transparency is 100% clear. Everything we do. And how do we respond and do that? You went to now.com, will display and communicate everything we're doing. Spending, revenue, projects, et cetera, so forth, and an opportunity to ask questions. You went to now.com. Also accessibility to the county commissioners, as well as town halls and a monthly newsletter to every resident in this county. The second challenge that we face is fiscal responsibility. I believe in transparent budgeting. I also believe in regular financial reviews, as well as competitive bidding and a healthy reserve. Thirdly, the third priority or challenge I would say in this case of many is the management of once-in-a-generational opportunities. My responsibility is to make sure that these once-in-a-lifetime generational growth opportunities benefit our residents, not only the day or through construction, but for decades to come, for our posterity, as we go without harming, most importantly, without harming our neighbors and our natural resources. I want to diversify this economy that we have, because without growth, we won't survive. We know many towns and residents that have not made that. Create lasting opportunities and manage projects responsibly, and you do so through transparency, and it reinforces what gets measured gets results, that you folks and you residents have an understanding of what's happening in this county day in and day out, and where your money's going. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Mr. Allen-Cobb, what changes, if any, would you make to improve the services provided by the county coroner's office?
Sure. So I touched on this a little bit previously, but the big one that comes to mind, and I've heard it a few times here, is transparency. There is no, the coroner's office resources are buried on the county website, I believe underneath the sheriff's office page. Is anybody familiar with the Uinta County, or not even the Uinta County, the County Commissioner's Burial Fund? Anybody? Nobody is, because there's no information on it. I've cremated 7 individuals that I just jotted down here that the county won't reimburse me on, because I either haven't appropriately submitted an invoice, or I didn't provide an itemized one. However, a simple public record search going back will show that the coroner's office has never had to submit an itemized invoice to be paid from the county. It's criminal. I paid these bills for these individuals that don't have loved ones to be cremated, for these individuals that were abandoned in my funeral home to be cremated, for the county to turn their back on me. The day I closed on the funeral home and wrote a $45,000 check for closing costs, the county coroners wrecked my funeral home vehicle. And do you know who was on the hook for that? Me. We need some transparency with the county coroner's office. I removed the coroner's office from my building for a number of reasons. You have got to look into the coroner's office a little more. There has got to be transparency with this. What has happened in the coroner's office for years is criminal. When I asked for reimbursement, I was told, quote, "This is bullshit," by one of the commissioners. Bullshit to ask for my money that I was due for cremating indigent and unclaimed individuals.
Thank you, Mr. Allen-Cobb. Mr. Rowdy Dean, if elected, what measurable goals would you hope to accomplish during your 4 years in office?
My first priority and goal is to take care of the employees at the sheriff's office, not only with equipment that we did provide to them and upgrade when we took over the first time, but also with mental health. I would like to implement a peer health, kind of a peer health officer, not mental health, but whatever, to check in, to go around, check in on the deputies, make sure they're okay. Suicide rate in law enforcement is the highest out of any other profession right now, and it's like 80-something% higher than just the average suicide rate. So I want to make sure that we're actually taking care of the thin blue line and making sure, checking in on each other and making sure we're all doing good. That's one thing. I've said it on my Facebook page, I don't know if anyone's paid attention to that, but I will be working, if elected, out of the Sheriff's Office in Mountain View 2 days a week. I think the citizens of the Bridger Valley deserve that. This is an office that is the citizens' office. I will be transparent to the citizens and available to the citizens. That's another goal. Training is one thing that I think we're lacking in as far as domestic violence response and mental health response. Our people working at the Sheriff's Office are very capable. The men and women that work, the deputies, they're more than capable to take care of these, and I think we're lacking in training is something that needs to happen, and that will be a priority. And again, just like everyone else, be transparent and be accountable to the citizens of UNT County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D. Mr. Andy Kopp, would you like me to repeat the question?
You're good, thank you. So out there on my table, I have last election's cards with the goals outlined. We've accomplished those goals. We've reestablished the public trust, reestablished the working relationship with other agencies. We've sent more people to leadership training in the last 3.5 years than ever before. We are currently getting ready to launch a program through WASCOP and a grant that will put tablets in the deputies' hands and allow the deputies to have a counselor on the other end of that tablet for someone in crisis that does not currently fit the emergency detention guidelines. The other thing that we really need to look at is we have an aging sheriff's office. People don't want to stay in law enforcement until they're 60, 70 years old. Some do. But what we're going to do is we need succession planning. We need to develop the leaders of the next generation. We're going to do that through leadership trainings. We take 5 to 6 people with us to a leadership conference in Casper every March and April. It's a different group every year. We've updated and will continue to upgrade technology. We have all brand new tasers. It was a 4-year process. Everyone has a vest in the detentions to patrol. Detentions now carries firearms when they're carrying these criminals outside our facility. We work with our community partners and will continue to work with our community partners. And again, please speak with the employees of the Sheriff's Office. Either one of us can sit up here and tell you what you want to hear, but as a deputy in the past, it means a lot if you ask them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andy Kopp. Ms. Dina Johnson, your question. Local governments are increasingly reporting that state-level funding cuts are impacting their infrastructure and basic services. Do you support restoring direct state aid to cities and counties, or should local municipalities look towards alternative revenue streams?
So I do support the direct state aid to cities and counties, and the reason why. We have billions in the Permanent Mineral Trust. We have billions of dollars that is tax money, and it's earning interest all the time. We citizens, like Joe said, our property tax went up 67%. That hurt us, and we're getting taxed more and more. We voted down a tax, now we're adding a tax. I support the fire department. I had a house fire. I know how important these people are to my life. I support EMS. I've went on several rides in their van. But I believe that money one way or the other, the money is taxpayer dollars, and whether they get it from the state or they get it from the people, I would prefer they get it from the state. And some of the things that we've heard was they were going to not spray for mosquitoes this year. I feel like we live kind of punished when funding gets cut, and I believe that the House wanted backfill, the Senate didn't want backfill. And I think that it's a punished system, and I think that the people deserve better. So I 100% support that, and I think that once again, the 50% tax initiative, there is proof out there that it can work, and it can work well for everyone. Everyone can win on it, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hagler, would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Local governments are increasingly reporting that state-level funding cuts are impacting their infrastructure and basic services. Do you support restoring direct state aid to cities and counties, or should local municipalities look towards alternative revenue streams?
Do I support? Doesn't matter what I think. Matters what everybody in this room and everybody in this county thinks. That's the job, to represent every single one of you and the majority, and go forward and fight. As for local governments and increasing reporting the state level funding cuts, yeah, I can tell you, as I look out over this audience, I've seen so many faces that have appeared before council, and how much of a difference your participation makes in the room. It changes the air, it changes the vote, and what you bring and your insight helps make the decisions of better. You're not toddlers, and I refuse to treat you as such. You are my boss. You're my boss on council, and you would be my boss as a senator. I don't make decisions for you. My job is to open up communication. Everybody mentions transparency on this board. Nobody has fought harder for transparency in this town than I have for 3.5 years. But I cannot do it without my bosses. It is your money. Every single dime is yours. And you have every right to hold accountable every single cent. And it should be easy for you to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Hagler. Ms. Capsule, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I don't think I need to have that. I can say that I agree with everyone here, and especially with Jen, that you are the people that I talk to. And I've been doing that through Facebook with my groups for 12 years. When the tax for last November was put up online, or when I found out about it, a friend of mine who is very politically active had been talking to some of the conservative leaders in the community, and they were very frustrated because they only had 5 or 6 months to get the word out to all of you about the tax. And she told them, well, I know exactly who to talk to. So I took a poll and found that the majority of the people who were participating with this group, and I think we have a good bisection of different people in different ages and groups, were against it. So even though a rec center would have benefited me, a lot, it would have been very good for me, because they wanted it, did not want the tax, and that was mostly why they didn't want it. So I dug in my heels, and we, as a group, made sure that everyone in this community knew about that tax, so they could go vote about it, and put their 2 cents in for it. That's what I've been doing for the last 12 years. And it's because of my journalistic background and my background as a teacher that I think you are the ones that should help decide this. And I have built a platform that helps you tell me what you want. And that will not stop when I get to the Senate. I will continue that. The group that we've been discussing, come to Evanston, Wyoming happenings, because we're not gonna be able to get into all of it here on Facebook. Right now it's on pause because I had to get some of this done. So, go ahead and go there and we'll continue this conversation, but I have some ideas.
Thank you, Ms. Council. Ms. Schuler, would you like me to read the question?
No, I think I'm good, thanks. It's interesting, we actually increased the amount of money for direct distribution from the state. We increased it this year, and actually the cities don't have to come back and beg, and they shouldn't have to. So we increased it by quite a bit, and your cities and towns it's gonna really help them. But it didn't really help the counties as much, because they don't get as much of that money as the cities do. And what really hurts the counties and also the special districts was the 25% cut. And I voted to do backfill on that. I couldn't get the votes. Then we tried it again a second time, tried to get backfill on our special districts because we knew that they have less wiggle room than anybody else. We couldn't get that vote across the line. I'm opposed to the 50% cut, and I've told everybody that, anybody that wants to listen to that, because I think we're already seeing the effects of the 25% cut. Now, we passed 4 different property tax refund bills in the last 2 years, which have helped. The homeowners, some of you that have lived here a long time, and you're 65, and then you're 25 or 30 years paying your property taxes, you only have to pay half. We had a property tax refund program that we passed. We passed a 4% cap. We passed an exemption for our veterans. So we passed quite a bit of property tax bills that should help everyone. The 50%, if that passes, and of course it will be on the ballot for you all to decide, and if that happens, and I end up back in Cheyenne, I will definitely try to look for backfill money because we have the money at the state. We're actually fiscally very sound. We have quite a bit in reserves. We made $1 billion, over $1 billion just on our investments this year. So even though 60% of our budget actually comes from, that revenue comes from our minerals, but we made more actually with investments. So we've got the money to backfill. I don't know, I mean, if you've looked around, Western Wyoming College had to lay off some people, some of the libraries up north have closed down. Our county here has had to freeze hiring freezes and haven't been able to buy new equipment. So the 25% has made I'm done.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay, I'm done.
Now for the representative's question, Mr. Ken Roberts. What concrete steps will you take to foster economic diversification in UNT County so that our community is less vulnerable to the boom and bust cycles of the energy sector?
Okay, and I'm going to specifically stay into the Uinta County thing because I know that's of the interest. But first thing we don't do is defund the Business Council. Second thing we don't do is try to defund the University of Wyoming. Third thing we do is we don't sell our public lands to anybody. Well, Uinta County is, I'm amazed at going out to the Wyoming Downs and learning about some of the programs on the Wyoming bred horses that we have out there. And I think that's a great diversification that we have that we can continue to build on. I think the folks out there are really doing well, and I think we need to foster a lot of that. One thing that might sound a little bit, our strength is our wildlife. I mean, besides everybody knows minerals rules everything in Wyoming. That's easy. It's always minerals, which is a good point because it is. But the second thing is wildlife. And we got to understand, people pay a lot of money for wildlife. And I was amazed because I went on an eco tour and I'm thinking, what the heck would anybody want to go on an eco tour and look at wildlife or something because we're all from Wyoming. But I'm telling you what, these folks are jazzed up and they're spending money to go on these eco tours. So I think that's an opportunity for something to look at for Uinta County. I mean, the number one thing they want to see on these eco tours is what? A moose. They want to see a moose. We got moose in Uinta County. We can get fun. But and it sounds, it's just little ideas, but I think we need to understand 100% our public land. Be careful. It's in danger of being sold. We've got to make sure that that we stop that, and I will never let that happen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Hyde, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good. Some of the scariest words that you can hear is for someone to show up at your door and say, I am from the government, I'm here to help. Unfortunately, the government oftentimes gets in the way of economic development because of excessive rules and regulations. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, a young couple bought a meat processing plant just on the west edge of town here. They went into debt and bought the plant, but they couldn't get a permit to custom meat processing. The inspector would come from our Department of Agriculture and say, well, we can't give you a permit until you move this drain over there and put a wash basin over here. And so they would do that, and then a different inspector would come and say, well, you've got to do this over here and you got to do that. Well, after almost a year, they were at their wits' end. They kept spending money on this, and they haven't been able to bring in any income at all. And that's when they called me and asked for some help. I looked into the regulations for a custom meat processing plant in Wyoming. It's 27 pages long. The very same permit in Utah is 4 pages. And the exact same permit in Colorado is 1 page. That's an example where government is hindering our economic development. We need to repeal some of these rules and regulations and laws. And we've been working on that. Every year, every session, we have some repealers. Sometimes they don't go through, but we need to be vigilant, getting rid of some of the rules and regulations. Get government out of the way so that industry can thrive. Industry can thrive without government intervention. We just need to get it out of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. Mr. Stevens, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good. So my job at the legislation is to represent you guys at the best of my ability. So in my campaign, I've set up some solutions workshops. I don't have the answers. I don't know all the answers. I don't know the ins and outs of every government entity out there. I'll be honest with you, I don't know them. But you guys that work in them fields know the answers. And I've reached out, and you guys can look on my Facebook page, and it'll soon be on my web page. I want to reach out to you guys, each and every one, and invite you to come down and write down some solutions, write down some answers, whether it be economically, government, whatever issues that are on the table, teachers, educators, everybody that's out there, because my job is to represent you. I'm not going to pretend to know that I know everything about every single entity out there. But you guys that work in them fields understand it. Bring me some solutions. Bring me something that I can put on the table when I get down there in Cheyenne, and I can be like, this is what my people want. This is the answers to the questions we've been looking for. We got an amazing state. We got an amazing county. We have tons to offer. So my plea to you guys is come to my workshops. Let's sit down and hash out some of these things that really need to be addressed. I agree. We've got too much government, especially some special interest groups that are trying to run Wyoming. They want us ran the way they want, and you vote in line with what they do. I'm not that person. I want to sit down with the people that I represent. I want to represent them to the best of my ability, because I believe in this state, I believe in this district, and I think that we've got some good things to offer. Economically, the key to economic growth is to offer the people something that they can get in the state, be proud of it, and their business will thrive.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you.
Mr. Webb, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine, thank you. In Wyoming, we do not have a revenue problem. But we need to take some of that revenue and be able to invest it in the communities. I hit on consensus grants in my on the first question. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. A consensus grant is when the entities decide what's best. Maybe Lyman wants this, maybe Mountain View wants that, maybe Uinta County wants this. You have to have the majority of those governmental entities in order to be able to get that consensus grant, hence the word consensus. Consensus grants then are used to develop infrastructure. What a great opportunity. We don't know what 5 years, 10 years down the road. We don't know companies that don't even exist right now that may want to come here. That's why I am such a big proponent of these consensus grants. They, like I said, they prepare a community or communities for the things that are to come. And while we're doing it, we're improving our own way of life and our own infrastructure. Regulations. Gonna hit on that again. I said at a meeting a couple of months ago, or 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 4. And there was a guy from Utah who was an electrical contractor, and he was complaining about how he couldn't get people to get certified in Wyoming because of the regulations. We've got to lessen that. As we're looking at economic development or economic diversification, we need to be very cautious, and we need to remember, everything that glitters is not gold.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Mr. Walton, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good. We've heard a couple people up here, Mr. Heiner and Mr. Webb, talk about regulations. Mr. Conrad also brought up a really good point about squandering a once-in-a-generation type of deal. As a state representative, last year, Radiant was going to come into Casper, $300 million project, 250 jobs that paid 80 grand a year. There was a regulation in place that they didn't want to get rid of. The crazy thing is the nuke plant right up the road is going to have the same thing of storing nuclear waste. We need to have that can-do. What we need to do to remove this barrier, let's figure out what they do to make it safe, just as safe here. We didn't do that. We lost out on a once-in-a-generational thing for the state. As your representative, it comes down to me promoting Uinta County. I'm going to have a close relationship with the county commission, the municipalities. We've got Rocco O'Neill that's trying to bring businesses in. I'm gonna be on the phone with those people all the time. I'm gonna be emailing them. Any type of thing that comes up, what do you need me to do to help move this along in the State House? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. And Mr. Wolf, would you like me to repeat the question?
Thank you. As I look at this question, I thought back to when I very first moved up here. I lived in Woodruff for about 10 years as a wildlife biologist. I lived at Deseret Land and Livestock. And I got to be really good friends with Will Davis, who is mayor of this town. And I look and I think how things were when he was here. And I think of all the businesses. There is so many private, small businesses that were here in our community. And I really think one of our biggest problems is I trust you guys to spend your money better than I trust the government to spend it. And that's one reason why I'm working so hard to make sure that we can get as much money put back in your pockets, in your wallets, in your purses, to allow you guys to decide what your future should be. It shouldn't be up to me, it shouldn't be up to any of us up here. Most importantly, it should be up to the Business Council. I know they've taken businesses from our community and taken it to other parts of this state. And I can tell you that's so offensive to me. But the best thing we can do is be truly independent. We just celebrated Independence Day, and I think we need to go back to our foundation. We're much better off when we stand alone, when we're self-sufficient, and we are not dependent on the government for all things. And I think that's the problem. We want to talk about diversifying our economy. Let's put more money in these pockets so we can have more small businesses that want to come up and flourish. And yeah, that doesn't mean we don't take care of our community. We still have to take care of our infrastructure. We got to make sure that we have police, that we have fire departments, that we have education. We have a lot of things that we can have, but I still think the most important thing is to trust the people that live in this state with their own revenue that they've generated. Let them decide their future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Now we will begin our closing statements for our candidates. A reminder, you have 1 minute. And I don't want to be the bad guy, so we're going to start with Mr. Wharf and let you finish up the anchor for us. Mr. Wharf, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank everybody for giving us the attention that you did, and for those candidates that are up here. I know it's not always easy. I was fortunate that, I lobbied for 10 years before I ever even thought about running for office. And so, I was a little bit more accustomed to standing up and basically testifying in front of a bunch of people. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've had to grow and develop. No point in time in my career did I ever think I'd become a politician. And I still don't see myself as a politician. I see myself as a representative of the people, and that's what I strive to do every day. And I hope you'll give me the opportunity to go back, represent you once more, and let me fight for those things that you guys would like to see come home. And I do think it's a great opportunity and nothing better to live in this state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Wall, you have 1 minute.
Thanks for everybody coming out tonight. Sure do appreciate it. I just want to say I want to govern by the 3 C's. Number 1, what do my constituents want? I'm working for you. I'm available, email, text. I will get back to you. Number 2, is it constitutional? Is the legislation going to stand the test of the law reviews? Is it good legislation? And number 3, my conscience. Is it something that I can get behind and I go, yeah, this is really good legislation. This is going to better the Wyoming and be good for our people. So in closing, I just want to say I'm ready to do the hard work. If I'm on a committee, I'm going to go to every meeting. I'm going to answer emails. I'm going to read the bills. And I'm going to do what's best for Uintah County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Mr. Webb.
Thank you all for being here, and thanks to the Chamber for hosting this. I'm a Republican. I'm a proud Republican. I believe in the 23 planks of the Republican Party. If you don't know what they are, you need to find out what they are and see if you agree with them or not. I have a proven track record. About 98% or 93%, I vote with the Republican platform. That's why I encourage you to look at it. I'm willing to take the arrows and the cheap shots that are thrown out by some people. That's a part of this. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm transparent, I'm effective, and I'm accountable. You can reach me at any time through my cell phone number. My information's out there. I've been a trusted public servant for 40 years, and I'd appreciate your vote on August 18th to continue that public service.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Mr. Stevens, you have 1 minute.
So I served this country for 21 plus years, been all the way around the world several times. One lesson it taught me is how blessed we are to be in the United States of America. How blessed we are to have the state of Wyoming and the many things that it brings to the table. Theodore Roosevelt had a speech that he wrote. It's called The Man in the Arena. I admire every man and woman up here today because they're willing to put their name in the hat to represent the people of this community. They're in the arena and they're fighting for what you guys want. I want to be that person. I want to be that person because I believe strongly. My greatest achievement, without a shadow of a doubt, is my kids, my grandkids. I want a prosperous Wyoming for them. I want amazing opportunities on the table. I don't want to watch them leave this state and go away because they can't make decent money here. They're short. Another thing the military taught me was I worked with some super smart individuals, young people. They love this country and they're willing to put their lives on the line for it.
Thank you, Mr.
Give me an
Stevens.
opportunity. Thank you.
Mr. Heitler, you have 1 minute.
I want to reiterate that we live in a wonderful state, but we cannot put a bubble around the state of Wyoming and without collaborating with others. It's about developing relationships, collaborating with other states, with the federal government. It's because of the relationship I have built with other legislators in Utah and Idaho that Utah has agreed to pay half of the design cost of this new coal-fired power plant and have it located in Wyoming. It's because of those relationships I've fostered. It's those relationships with the Trump administration that the Department of Energy is wanting to build this in Wyoming and further our energy dominance. Although I'm not 98% following the platform, I follow the Republican platform 96% of the time. I am a Republican, and I vote against fiscal spending, additional fiscal spending, 75% of the time. I want to represent you as a true conservative Republican.
Thank you, Mr. Heitler. Mr. Roberts, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm a person who brings people together. I believe that the more people that we have at the table, the better we are for solving problems. If you elect me as a representative, I'll bring 30 years of legal and public service experience with thoughtful leadership, common sense to Cheyenne. I'll work hard to ensure the laws that we pass are clear, constitutional, practical, and worthy of the people we serve. I spent my career in Wyoming with integrity and fairness and accountability. I'll be honored to continue that service in the Wyoming State Legislature. I respectfully ask for your vote, and I think together we can protect Wyoming's values, our Wyoming's ways of life, and we can build a stronger future for everybody in this great state. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Ms. Schuler, you have 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a great night. I just want to say that I think the folks, the reason that a lot of you pushed me to run again is because you trust me. You know that I'm going to be there every day. I'm going to show up. I'm going to work hard. I've never missed a day in 8 years or a vote. Not a lot of legislators can say that, quite frankly. And maybe some of them up here, maybe not. I don't know. But I know I've been there for you. I've passed a lot of bills because they were constituent bills. Most of them come from you. And the reason I can do that is because I am a good collaborator. I can collaborate with people on the left, the right, the moderates, the far right, the this, whatever you are. And I think people respect me and they respect my judgment, and they know that I'll work with them as best I can, try to compromise with them and do the best we can for Wyoming. And if it's a good bill, maybe we can get it across the finish line. I still have more work to do, I think, especially with your calibration. There's a little work. We've already started on that. I think we can make it better. And I hope that you'll give me another chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Schuler. Ms. Hassel, you have 1 minute.
I consider myself a constitutional Republican. And that is the way I will vote. That is the way I will look at what you want to have done. But I need to have your input. And if you go to Evanston, Wyoming happenings, that's where it will happen. But Representative Webb and Tina Johnson have touched on something that I would like to touch on briefly. We don't have a money problem in Wyoming. We have a hoarding problem. Do you realize that local governments overcollected a massive $13.8 billion over the last 7 years? My proposal is called the Wyoming Prosperity Fund, and I want to make sure that goes back to the people so that you can decide whether or not Chief Quinny gets the money for infrastructure. Not state, not Governor Gordon. You need to decide those things because unfortunately, from the poll I've taken, 9% of the people, there's a 9% majority that are against this tax. They don't want it. and I can understand that.
Thank you, Ms. Council.
Go to Evanston, Wyoming, have meetings, and we'll continue this discussion. And that includes everyone.
Ms. Hageman, you have 1 minute.
Faustian bargain, don't vote for me if you cannot promise me 4 days a year. I need to hear from you if we're going to set this right. If we're going to turn the tables and do what the Constitution demands and give you back your power. So it may be odd for a candidate to say, don't vote for me. But I don't want to Don Quixote it like I have been for the last 3.5 years without you. I can't, government cannot function without its bosses. I cannot state that enough. And your money is everything. If we don't have complete transparency, that's like giving a bank statement with your redactions on it for all your transactions. That has to happen.
Thank you, Ms. Hageman. Ms. Johnson?
And so my closing statement would be, once again, the property tax, the money going back to the people. Some of the things that we've heard, I don't know how many people in the room know that some of the things that I am kind of disgusted about is $100 million to BWXT. We recently, after Chief Quinney announced the taxes at all of the city council and the county commissions, then the governor, I believe we are one of the 11 cities that received the $3.1 million for infrastructure. I don't understand why we can't get some of that money, why we can't to fund the fire department, to fund some of those things. What we spend money on is quite ridiculous sometimes versus what we need. So I think that the people need to be thought of, and the 1% tax will affect gas, electricity, water, all of the things. So that is what I would say.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Andy Kopp?
Thank you. Once again, thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out to educate yourself on what each of us have to offer. My commitment to you is to continue to be a working sheriff. You can find me in the office between 4 and 5 a.m. most days. You might find me in the jail. You might find me on a transport, working a crash. I take calls on a regular basis. My door's always open. I return most phone calls unless they degrade my employees and demand a phone call back. I will not tolerate that. But other than that, thank you all for coming tonight, and I'd appreciate your support on August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Mr. Dean?
Thank you. Thank all of you for coming. I just want to hit a little bit, you know, I work hard. I've worked hard in this community my entire life. I've lived here my whole life. I've started, you know, I worked on local ranches and worked for other businesses since the age of 13. I've served on committees, commissions, boards for the last 27 years, starting with the Cowboy Days Committee, Uena County Museum Board, Uena County Foundation Board, Evanston Historic Preservation Commission. I'm on the Evanston Planning and Zoning Commission right now, and I got on that commission to protect private property rights. That's something that's important to me. Current chair of the Uena County Republican Party. Several different things. You know, I've dedicated 27 years of my life volunteering for this community, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Mr. Alan Kopp, 1 minute.
All right. I just want to thank everybody as well for letting me give some thoughts today. I know, like I said earlier, I'm an odd office out. It's not every, well, I'm sure you've never heard from a coroner candidate in one of these forums. So I'm happy that you allowed me to kind of voice my opinion. I'm always available to visit with, be available after this. You can find me at the funeral home pretty much anytime. Thank you.
Thank you all. Mr. Conrad.
Great, thank you. My top 5 commitments to you is service. First and foremost, I'm not going to take a salary. I'm donating the entirety of my county commissioner pay to local charities, including suicide prevention. I'm not taking the insurance either. Number 2, I want to focus budgeting, protecting our core services and our high-value projects while living with tighter revenues. Number 3, fair representation, giving residents from the Bridger Valley to Evanston a vote for fair, consistent representation. Number 4, transparency. Launched UNNow.com with meetings, votes, budgets, priorities, and a way to ask questions. And lastly, a strategic goals or a strategic plan by each department. There's a sign out there real quickly. Stay positive, work hard, make it happen. UNT County makes Wyoming great.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Mr. Carroll?
I want to thank the chamber for having us. I want to thank everybody who came here. I want to look over at my wife, say thank you. She doesn't always get a say in what I do, and she still supports me, so I'm real pleased with that. This is my mission statement. My mission statement is to serve the citizens of UNT County with integrity, honesty, and hard work. I'm committed to open communication, responsible stewardship of taxpayer resources, and accountability on every decision. I will work to keep our community safe, ensure essential services are available throughout UNT County, and support economic development that is responsible, that strengthens our county, but still preserves the values we cherish. Above all, I will serve all the citizens fairly, everybody in UNT County, and transparently, always putting the interests of UNT County first. I know UNT County, I am UNT County. I'd appreciate your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Ms. Whitman, you have one.
I am one of you. I raised a family here. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, I'm an FFL holder, I'm an employee, I'm a coworker. I wouldn't be here without the support of my family and also my coworkers that support me in this endeavor. I want to serve you. I'm just a girl who had the idea come to her that she should run, and I thought, no way. And then I had time to think about it, and I do think I can make a difference. I do think I could make a positive influence on a board of 3. And I will make every effort to do right by every individual in this county, and I will always have an open ear to anything you have to say. And I would appreciate your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whitman. And Mr. Anderson, 1 minute.
Thank you. There's nothing I can say in 60 seconds to convince you that I'm the best candidate up here. We've got great candidates all across the room. So I'm going to take the time and make a plea as a sitting commissioner. We can go on Facebook, we can go on social media and see all the noise. But if it doesn't go to the right people, it's useless and we've wasted our time. So my plea tonight is one thing. Whether it's me in January or anybody else, email them, call them when you have concerns about any issue. If you have questions, call. I had somebody ask me at the county Republican meeting a few weeks back, you must just be overwhelmed with emails. And now my wife will tell you that I've spent plenty of time on an hour-long trip to the store for a gallon of milk. And I appreciate that. But at that time, I had received 10 emails on the data center. Reach out to us. We want to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you to all of our candidates for making their time to be with us tonight. We greatly appreciate it from the Chamber of Commerce. It means a lot to us that you are here tonight. We will now open it up for Q&A from the audience. So please come up to the microphone if you're willing and able, so we can hear all of your questions. I will add that we are very limited on time, so I will ask the audience and the candidates to please keep the questions short and your answers to a minimum so we can get as many questions as possible. I do have one anonymous question right here, so before we get these microphones set up and ready for you, this goes to our county commissioners. What do you anticipate the future use of the 1,000 acres?
All of us?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make it quick. So, obviously there's some things in the works with 1,000 acres. I don't believe that we'll see a fairgrounds there. I don't think we have the monies to support a bigger fairgrounds there and maintain it. I don't. Is what I do see is multiple use. Right now we've got great bike trails that they want to start doing competition biking out there. I think that's a great use. The state of Wyoming, we are working with them as they work on their parking lot to level some land for us. That will help prepare that land for some development, whether it be some manufacturing, whatever it is. That's part of that negotiation. The last thing on that, am I out of time? Quick, okay. The last thing is as we discuss a potential workforce housing out there, like I said earlier, we need to make sure that they pay their way and that we're left with more than what we had before. And I'll leave it at that.
With the infrastructure that will possibly get left out there, if the hospitality company comes in, I think the sky's the limit as to what that property could be used for. And until we have a discussion in the community and in the county, I don't have enough information to tell you what it should or should not be.
Yeah, on the 1,000 acres, as the hospitality group comes in, we hope that they build that so that those things can remain in our community and be useful. And again, until we decide as a community what we want there, then it's the sky's the limit. 1,000 acres, a company coming in, a little bit of infrastructure already completed, should be great for our community.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's about what you want. It's transparency and what we come together from your input and what we can do responsibly for generations to come and fiscally noted. It's about us. The coroner will now speak.
It's ready for you.
I have to move it because I'm short. I just have a comment. None of you mentioned anything about low-cost housing for our senior citizens or for young families. And if you haven't taken a look at some of the places that the low-income families live, you would be shocked at the conditions that they have to live with. But my other question is, I was really shocked tonight when I found out that we have $150 million in excess in our state budget and a reserve of $8 billion, and they're asking the cities and counties to take a cut. So to our current legislatures, how did this happen? And why did it happen? Because it should not have. Like I said, I'm shocked that we have that reserve and our cities and counties are paying the price. Something's wrong.
I think if we have
those excess funds like you're talking about, means we've been overtaxed. That's why we need property tax relief, and not only that, we need property tax reform. You can spend your money better than the government can spend your money.
So what we're trying to do is help those senior citizens that are in trouble trying to stay in their own homes. That's one of the biggest issues we've heard about is property tax is taxing our people out of their homes. Talk about low-income housing. Let's keep people in their home first. I talked to a lady that she was 72 years old, and she said, I have to pay 2 months of Social Security just for property taxes. How do I do that? How do we keep her in their home? So that's what we're trying to do is bring relief to the citizens. Yes, the state has excess money, so we want to bring that to the taxpayer, and we provided backfill to the counties and municipalities of $47 million, additional money for backfill, for lost revenue, for property taxes. And we want to do more, but we have a governor that doesn't want to do backfill right at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just to answer a couple of those questions. First of all, a lot of those billions we can't touch because they're in the permanent mental trust fund. I brought a bill probably 6 or 7 years ago with the House member to try and change the percentage of how much money went into the permanent mental trust fund, because I felt like we had so much money already in that reserve and we can't touch anything except the interest on it. So it got through the House, but we couldn't get it through the Senate. I offered on my firstborn child, please, let's get this through so we can change that a little bit. They didn't take my firstborn child. Thank you very much. But there are other options. I actually served for just a short time on the UNA trade school board. We were hoping to maybe do something up there that we could not only have a trade school but have housing. But we had too many irons in the fire, not enough people, not enough collegiality, I guess, to get that across. So we still need to work on it. You're right about that. Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Roberts, did you want to say anything? All right, do we have another question?
A couple of questions. Is this working? Okay, so I have a couple of questions, but I think I'm just going to ask the one that I've been thrown at a little bit. How many of you city representatives are involved with the Freedom Caucus? And what is your relationship with it? And how does that affect your voting records?
I think most of you know that I'm not a member of the Freedom Caucus. I'm just a member of the Republican Wyoming Caucus, which is, I'm a Republican, but I represent everybody in Wyoming, and I don't get pigeonholed into these things, and I won't. It's not that I can't. I mean, whatever people want to join, that's great, but I just want to work with everybody, and it doesn't really matter if they're in that caucus or if they're not in that caucus. I'm a free thinker, as has been mentioned here before, and I really take my everything, my trust and my voice from you. You're the ones that tell me how I need to vote, and that's how I vote. So I don't have anybody else telling me how to vote. Thank you.
Somehow there's this conception out there that if you're a conservative, you're a member of the Freedom Caucus. Out of 93 legislators, there are only 17 actual Freedom Caucus members. So how can the Freedom Caucus control the state government with only 17? But our media has made it sound like anybody that's a conservative is a Freedom Caucus. Well, that's great. But I vote 96% with the Republican Party. Shouldn't that be more important? Do I follow the Republican Party platform? Am I conservative? Yes, I am conservative. Do I work with other members of the legislature? Yes. Am I a member of the Freedom Caucus? Yes, I am. Because collaboration and working with other people is very important. And if you try to do it on your own, you're going to fail.
Hold on. That was of Washington DC telling me what I can say and what I can't say. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of. And if you believe that somebody from Washington DC texts us and tells us how to vote, yes, I am a proud member of the Wyoming Freedom Caucus, and I'm not embarrassed and I'm not ashamed of it. But if you believe that, I have some land, beachfront property here in Uintah County. I won't sell it to you because I'm honest, but I'm sure somebody else would sell it to you. This is just craziness, folks. Nobody tells anybody. These are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. I would stand by them, and I'm grateful for them. And the Freedom Caucus supports the Wyoming Republican Party platform, and that is our platform.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
I kind of, I'm not a member of the Freedom Caucus. I had a reporter ask me one time, even though I'm not a member, they said, how come you vote so close to how they vote? And I said, because I'm conservative. And I think the reality is there's a misperception out there. Those of us that really do believe that the Republican Party stands for something, we vote in alignment with that party platform. And that's the commonality that we all have. That's the common link that the Freedom Caucus has with me and with other legislators. So it is something that I will caution you. I was there, I got first elected in 2020 when it started, and I can tell you the House was disorganized. That's the one thing that they did do, is they got organized, and look how effective they've been. What bill have they passed that has harmed anybody in the state?
Thank you, Mr. Worth. Looking for more questions?
I guess I actually don't have a question, but I decided tonight that I don't know enough about what's going on in politics here. We moved here 12, 13 years ago when my husband's job changed. Until then, we lived in Utah for 20 years more. A lot more. I was a school teacher, U.S. history and government, and an adjunct university professor at Weber State those years. And very, very active in politics in Utah. I kind of thought once I got here to Wyoming, everything was kind of stable. It was cowboy country and all that stuff, and I didn't have to be that involved. I found out there's a whole lot of stuff I didn't even know was going on, and obviously we all need to get more involved. I have as an excuse, we're now have 4 grandchildren living with us, and I'm not living the normal retired life I would have thought of. But the things that are very, very important for all of you that are here is number 1, transparency. Maybe I'm stupid, but I did not know about the man camp until the meeting I went to last week. I didn't really know we were getting a data center, and I do read the paper. I also didn't know about all these property tax things, but I do know I am scared to death of losing my house, which we own outright, but I don't actually own it outright because the state and the county and the federal government, almost not really, but through the state and the county, have a lien, a permanent lien on my house. And anytime I can't pay that property tax, they can take that, which I worked my whole life for, from me. And so I am for anything that reduces taxes, that puts the responsibility on individuals for their own welfare, not on the government, and that preserves the freedoms that this country was based on. We believe that government is responsible to the people, that it is not supposed to be telling us how to spend our money or what we can do with our lives. I will support those of you that can show me you believe that, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Are we gone? So I think this is for you guys. So we have probably 4 years of decent stuff coming, right? Where right now, our housing market's in the toilet. Housing prices are going down. The city, I know, dipped into coffers for the first time since 2009. Can everybody hear me? There we go. Yesterday I got approached by somebody who needed help with housing and asked me where to go and what to do because their private jobs aren't able to give raises while we're giving raises to county and city employees, and I'm involved in that. I will take, so the private sector is seeing things a lot different. My concern is we get the data center, we get some things, we're gonna see this remarkable turnaround. How many people lived in Southwest Wyoming in the late 80s, early 90s? How many remember the boom? We have a potential, in my opinion, to have a crash that is worse than the boom, the crash that we had at that point. You know, everybody says, well, we could have this, we could have that. Look at all the wonderful things that we got. We got a rec center given to us as a city and the county. How much does that free gift cost us every year? About $1.5 million. Now that's, I'm grateful that we have it, but we need to be careful of what we're doing and how we're doing it. So my question for the commissioners is, what is your plan to make sure that we don't fall into the trap of, look at all this stuff we have, look at all this tax revenue, look at our housing prices going up, and we're getting more property tax revenue, getting more sales tax revenue. What is your plan to make sure that when the artificial stuff that we're seeing crashes, what is your plan to make sure it doesn't happen? Thanks.
I'll start that. Two things I would want to address on that. For housing, I believe in the free market. And as things grow, I believe the private sector, if we open up, just let them do their thing, that will solve itself. I think Mr. Sellers is one fine example that has done well in this community with housing. To address the issue of not overextending ourselves, as the income comes in of the additional revenue, we don't need to find new things to spend it on. I think we'll find plenty of things that we've kicked the can down the road when we haven't had the monies to spend for upkeep of roads and things of that nature where that money will go.
I also agree with Mark that we need to allow free enterprise and private sector to grow our housing market as it needs to. And that may require city ordinance or city code and policies to be changed or reviewed to get that done. I also think that, once again, I feel like we need to be proactive with this funding that's going to come in, this tax revenue, and not reactive going through the next, say, 10, 20 years. We need to be fiscally responsible, and it'll take a group effort and it'll take community input to get those things done.
As I looked at that, very simple. We have to proactively plan what's going to be built. We have to look not just at what we're building to use for the 5 years where we have 3,000 people's taxes supporting it, but what is the future going to be? You have to look at the maintenance costs of all these things that are going to happen. I'm not a guy who comes in and builds a mansion and then wonders how I'm going to heat the darn thing. Let's go out, let's build things that make our community better, that bring people to Evanston, that bring people to Bridger Valley. We want people, but we want it responsibly done, and we want to be fiscally responsible, and we want to be able to afford it, but we want it to be usable later on, such as the rec center. You said it. It's been a great asset to this community. So we need to build other things that'll be great for our community, but we have to be able to afford them later on too.
I believe Mr. Carroll eloquently said that responsibly, but I'll share with you this, and I think Mr. Soller knows this, we've got to get land available to develop. That's occurring now on the east side of Bridger Valley. There are subdivisions opening up. So it's through strategic planning, working with planning and zoning and the commissioners. But again, it's supply demand. That's going to drive everything, and has been for the past 2,000 years. Supply demand. We've got to find the ability to expand, and most importantly, find the availability to do so with the respective contractors that are on the Wasatch Front as we speak, getting more money for that because those opportunities exist there, not here as we speak. Corner.
You're a great sport, thanks. Ms. Katzel wanted to comment or respond to the comment earlier, and I
The
apologize.
young lady who was concerned about the retirement issue, and her property. But, I wanted to address that because both, Representative Webb and, Ms. Johnson here have, talked about, a little bit about the excess funds that are in, and so did our representative, Wendy, sorry, I didn't give her the best name. And they're right, that money is there, but it is earmarked for things like the highway. They're in constitutionally protected funds, but the over-collected funds are not. They are distributed regularly to, I can't tell you how many millions our city and counties have in surplus funds. And what my proposal is to establish a prosperity fund similar to the one that Alaska has and return that money to the people so that they can make the decisions. And then it will be distributed on a tier system. 10% will go back in to make sure it's perpetual. And then tier 1, safety first. So Chief Quinney doesn't have to go begging for money.
Thank you very much.
We'll continue this on another platform.
I just have a question for the sheriffs, because unlike any other office up there, when you're electing the sheriff, you're actually electing an undersheriff too, so I'm just curious who your undersheriffs would be.
Yes, so my undersheriff is, and as I announced during my last campaign, Trevor Rasmussen, he back there in the back.
Thank you for the question. That is something that I have not decided and have not announced. I have a few people that I am going to talk to if elected. It's not something that is elected with your office. It's something that you're not even required to have as a sheriff if you didn't want one. So I am reserving that right to interview that when the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we have one more question.
I have two. This is for the current state representative and senator. I'm on the Uintah County School District School Board. I want to know what your involvement was and how with the funding for the schools this year. It changed to the silo, etc. Where were you in this process? How did you vote? That question. County Commissioner Anderson, the data centers coming in. I think most people don't want the 1% tax. I think they want an improvement with the ambulances and all that stuff. But my question is why don't we go to Mr. Thornock and say, pony up the $13 million so we don't have to raise the tax. Pony up the money for a possibility of having to increase our police force in the city with 3,400 people coming into our city. So those are just the questions that I have. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, I was on recalibration, still am. We did some good things. The number one thing that I wanted to get accomplished was to raise our teacher pay. So our teacher pay is now $75,800. at least average. And that was the number one thing, is we had heard from administrators that we couldn't get teachers here because we were so much lower than all the states around us. So that was my number one thing. I also worked hard to try and keep our class sizes reasonable. And unfortunately, when the bill first went to the House, they killed it over there. In the Senate, we passed it, and then it came to my Senate Education Committee, and we added about 11 amendments to try and make the bill better. Unfortunately, I've never been a fan of the silo. I didn't like it. I knew there were going to be some issues with things because of that silo, but we're working on it right now. We had our first recalibration meeting, and I think we can fix some things. So that's why I hope that we can try and fix it. Thanks.
So this recalibration bill that was passed by the legislature, out of 93 legislators, only 7 voted against it. So that's overwhelming support from the legislature for the recalibration. This was the single largest investment in public education in the history of Wyoming. The single largest investment in the history of Wyoming. $123 million a year, and most of it went to wages. Now, did it all go to teachers? No, it went to all staff. All staff got significant raises, some of them as much as 20%, because there had not been a recalibration bill for the past 15 years, even though it's statutorily required to happen every 5 years. So our wages were lagging, and school districts were hurting because of that. We tried to make up for lost time, and we invested a lot of money into our school system because we think dearly about our children.
I supported the recalibration bill because I support the teachers. You'll hear a lot of them complaining, but I don't hear them complaining about their $500 to $1,000 a month paycheck or pay increase that they're going to get this next school year. I salute the recalibration committee. We have 2 of the people on the recalibration committee sitting right here. Senator Schuler, Representative Heiner. That committee of 12 people voted unanimously to move that bill to the entire state legislature. That says a lot to me. And then, as Representative Heiner said, there was only 7 people that voted against it. Thank you, teachers.
Yeah, I guess I kind of got in trouble with some of my friends in the House because I voted against the recalibration bill in the House and it was defeated. And I also had a lot of my friends over in the Senate that was mad at me because now they had to pass the Senate version of the recalibration bill. But I will tell you, I listened to the superintendent and the teachers in my district, and they were all very much concerned about being forced into the state insurance pool. A lot of them did not want to do that, and I didn't want to force them to. So that was my biggest, reason for voting against the House version of the recalibration bill. But yes, I did vote for the Senate version. As it was pointed out, we needed to pass it. It hasn't been done for 15 years, so yes, we did.
Okay, John, I'm going to do my best to remember all your questions here. So the first thing I want to make note on the 1% tax is this community has seen a few on the ballot in the past. I was the lone commissioner that voted against this initiative this time. And it's not that I'm opposed to our fire and rescue. My father was a volunteer fireman, and I looked up to him for doing that for a lot of years. It is, however, the responsibility of this body to make sure that a good, responsible fiscal question goes to the voters. A year ago, that ask was about $3 million. The jump to 13, I couldn't get my mind wrapped around on that. Over to the second question on why don't we ask Mr. Thornock. We implemented over 12 conditions on that conditional use. There may be a time for that. Fire and EMS was one question and one thing that I asked them. and they were gonna be supplying their own private services for a lot of that to mitigate, you know, our issues and resources, so.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you guys so much. That concludes our first session of our candidate forums. We cannot thank you guys enough for being here with us tonight. We cannot thank the candidates enough for being here with us tonight. I want to remind everyone that we will have our second session next Thursday. That's July 16th. Same place, same time. We will have our city candidates for that one. Once again, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions that you want to resubmit to anyone or want to let us know any more information, please give the chamber a call. Please message the chamber and we'll get those answers to y'all. Thank you so much for staying with us tonight.